Hello, Leos. Welcome to Souls Intersect. I have your December of 2016 intuitive tarot reading. I want to let you know that I'm running some promotions this month in celebration of the winter solstice. All of my readings are discounted, and the link to check those out is below. Also, I'd like to let you know that I'm planning to put out 2017 annual readings for each sign. And those should be available towards the end of December, maybe beginning of January. So keep your eyes peeled for those. All right, so let me take you through the cards. On the top left is the Queen of Cups, and then the Four of Cups, and the Two of Wands on the right. And then in the center row, the Queen of Swords, the Five of Cups, and the Moon. And then on the bottom, the Page of Swords, the Seven of Wands, and the World card. And then on the bottom of the deck was the Hermit that I have propped up on the right there. So right away, I'm sensing some things coming to the surface that resonate on the emotional level. It feels to me like there may be some things, Leos, that you are willing to look at that maybe were more buried before. And for some of you, that might mean consciously burying them, maybe out of fear of pain or difficulty in looking at something emotional. But it could also just be that the timing wasn't right, or you literally didn't have time, or something along those lines. And for some of you, it could just be that something triggered this response where you're willing to open up and look at something more subconscious, it feels to me. We have a lot of this cups energy, both the 4 and the 5 can definitely be more related to something sorrowful. And then the moon very often has to do with looking at subconscious things. And then with this hermit energy as well, it does feel like it's that time to really look at it. But I just want to say that this isn't a forecast of doom and gloom. There's definitely a lot of positive energy here. The World card is about something coming full circle, or something coming to completion. And also what I want to say is that sometimes when it is that time to look at these things, that can actually feel better than when it's buried. So although it never feels great to hear something along the lines of, it's time to look at something or do inner work, like I said, that can really bring more relief at times than usually the stage that comes before it, which is more of the keeping it under the surface, burying it, for some denial. But again, it might not be intentional for some of you, or not that denial is always intentional, but it might not be your not being willing to look at it. It could just be something practical, or just that the time wasn't right. But regardless, this period can actually feel more peaceful because you get release. You get a sense of release. And although you may feel things that come up to the surface, you may feel them in the way that you felt them originally. That can be painful, but the release that comes after it is often very worth it. So with all of that said, I want to look at some of the figures here. I'm definitely feeling you're represented by the Queen of Cups. And that really brings a positive quality to the reading for me. Because while it's also related to this sense of emotion, it also brings in that idea of mastering these emotions, and in this case, that willingness, being willing to look at it, to really take the wheel and not be hesitant or afraid anymore, if that applies to you. The Queen of Swords feels to me like a person in your life, and that may be where this trigger comes in. The Page of Swords feels like an initiation of this period of these emotional things coming to the surface. For some of you, this could also be a time where you're willing to talk about it with someone. This Queen of Swords could even be a therapist, but it could be a partner or a parent that you need to confront about something, or even a friend. And one of the things I'm getting for some of you is that it may not even be so much just your personal things that are below the surface that need to come up for review, but something between you and someone else. So this may not be as subconscious for some of you, although it does still feel, if that's the case, that it's something that's been somewhat hidden and that maybe it's been talking about it has been avoided. The page really feels like that trigger point, that initiating of this cycle. And the Queen of Swords feels like who it may be related to. It may also be that this Queen of Swords figure is not in your life currently, or maybe not close to you right now. It could be, for example, maybe there's something related to a parent of yours, a mother or father, that needs to be looked at, but not necessarily between you and the parent. So it could be related to them, but the work or this review may just be need to be done by you, and maybe not necessarily this other person. And maybe this other person isn't even around anymore for some of you, but they're still coming up because it feels like it's related to that person. I'm also getting some physical things coming through. So especially for females, all of these cards are female, and I'm really sensing a lot of, I guess the Hermit might not be, but these other cards in the reading are, and I'm sensing some hormonal things. For some, this could be menopausal, or it could also be for others taking hormones like birth control, that things might be a little bit out of whack. And, you know, the cycle with the world is really coming up with that as well. And in this case, a change may need to be initiated. It does feel like, in this case, something regarding a cycle that might be hormonal needs to be looked at and maybe approached by talking to someone like a doctor. So this could also be a doctor. And there may be some other options. I feel like, especially if you are, this doesn't feel like so much something happening naturally. I'm feeling like it has more to do with you're taking something maybe that is throwing things for you a bit, especially in the emotional realm. And if that's the case, I feel like you need to bring this to someone's attention, and there may be better options, because this doesn't feel good. It feels like, with the Seven of Wands too, it feels like maybe you've been a bit defensive, and the Hermit in this case, maybe you've been isolating a little. And again, this is in relation to taking something, feels like hormones, but it could be other things too for some of you, just making things feel a little bit out of whack. And I get the sense that you feel like you have to for some reason, but I feel like there might be other options. So at least vocalize it, talk to someone about it, to see if there's a solution, a better solution. And the other thing is that for males or females, I still feel a lot of that female energy coming through. So if you're male and that other part didn't resonate, it could be something going on with a partner in your life. And maybe, for example, if it's a female partner, maybe you need to approach them about something that's been going on with mood, because maybe also it's related to something artificial, and it may not be how it has to be. And the other part of that is for males that didn't resonate with that part of it. It could be related to a female in some other way. So some of the things that might need to be looked at this month could have to do with the result of behavior that someone had based on hormones, hormonal changes. So maybe a female in your life, even in the past, or even something like steroids. Somebody who'd taken something like that where it affected mood and caused mood swings that brought emotional damage for some of you, or maybe just some some kind of upheaval that needs to be looked at as well. I want to look at this Two of Wands because I just want to see how this plays in. It's interesting. I'm picking up a lot of karmic energy from this Two of Wands. So it feels to me like this initiation, so the beginning of a new cycle or the initiating of some sort of change in regard to a cycle, has to do with the beginning stages of some spiritual growth. And that may be also that there's a spiritual connection to this person that is in your life or came up in your life in the past or is going to come up to address something karmic. So something needs to come into karmic balance. So remember too, I think the message there is that there's a higher meaning for all of this too. It can be frustrating, especially if it is, to do with medication or something like that, that it just feels like maybe other things are going well and that's not, and why does this have to come in and mess things up? But I think the message is that there is a higher meaning for what's happening too. There's some learning taking place that needs to take place. So maybe if it is medication, for example, that's just kind of the vehicle to deliver this greater message. And even if it's more the subconscious things coming up to the surface, it could be the same. It could be that that's just the way, in this case, that the messages need to be delivered. But I do feel like things can come full circle and that this can be cleared. I don't sense that this is a lasting thing. It just feels like something that may come to the surface, especially this month. All right, Leos, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you have any questions about this or about the promotions, feel free to email me at soulsintersect@gmail.com. Thank you.